Hello, everybody. Am I super loud? Or?
No, it's I think it's coming out clear.
I talk really loud. My name is John, and I wanted to do a little bit about IRB tips and tricks. And doing live coding as a lightning talk is probably the worst idea ever, particularly because I type slow, but please be patient. So I love IRB. It's been a huge part of me learning Ruby. I think it's very, very cool, and I've seen a lot of other languages use some cool things like try Ruby and as a way for people to learn things. It was a big part of how I learned it. It's so awesome. There's a lot of cool patterns that you'll find to pair with people. You can customize IRB more than people think. You can do cool stuff in the Rails console, and I'm going to show you some references. But in case I don't finish, it's super powerful and customizable. And if I don't get to all the cool stuff and you think, well, IRB is weak just because that guy didn't finish, please look into it. There's a lot of super cool stuff you can do. All right, so some simple stuff you can do is just some basics.
You got 8 minutes for the lightning talk.
What? 8 minutes for each?
8.
Awesome.
Cool.
We're
We're going to do 4.
These are really
Sweet. That we did. Just talk to Jim. We're going to do 4 lightning talks. And they're going to be 8 minutes each. So you got them.
Okay. I didn't catch all that, but all right. So some basic. I had notes. Some basic stuff. Maybe I should ask you guys. How many people have already customized their IRB to have like autocomplete and history and some stuff like that? So I know where we're at. All right. So for those of you that haven't, you can do those things. You can make it so that you don't have to type stuff so much. I'm gonna move that. Just shut down tweet. This is gonna be horrible. All right. So basic stuff like I can do that, and I can do all sorts of interpolation. That's all the obvious stuff. But there's more stuff that you can do. You're not going to get interpolation if you don't have quotes. So the ways that you can print things are pretty obvious. And then there's a few other things you can do. Like you can, if you have, see how fast I type. I'm thinking of what is everybody thinking. You can also just say P, you can say Y to get the YAML representation of it, which looks a little bit different. You can go to YAML. And there's pre-print and awesome print. So if I say PPF, pre-print looks kind of like what I have here, and there's another one called awesome print, and it prints like that with the colors. Which you may or may not see.
Microphone.
Sorry.
Better.
Thank you. It will print with colors, so that helps, and that's nice. Particularly as you're looking up stuff. So what I was talking about history is as I hit up arrow, I have that, and then I have completion. So if I have a number, I can hit the tab to get more methods. So the methods are available. What else did I want to talk about? You can inspect the methods. You can say, what methods do you have? But that's a lot to look at. So you can say, well, let's sort that. Well, okay, that helped a little bit, but not a lot. Let's maybe rep that. Okay, so there's all the instance ones. So you can inspect that, and of course you can grab those methods and you can do various things with them. One thing that you can also do is you can say, for a given method, where is it defined from? Like, who defines the plus method? Okay, well, that comes straight from fixnum. Well, what else do you have? I happen to have a plugin that adds Vim to stuff. Where's that come from? Oh, that comes from Interactive Editor. So you can figure out where each method comes from. You can also ask questions like, well, what does it take? All right, so that one takes one required parameter. So you can inspect things in case you're unfamiliar with the API, etc. Moving on. You can customize the IRB console through a .irbrc file, and you can also do it at runtime. So if I just hit conf, it will kind of load up all of these components. One of them is echo. Currently, echo is set to true. That means when I have a variable called f, it prints it out. If I set echo to false, which some people don't want, and then when I say f, it doesn't do anything. If I say puts f, it does it, but you have to spell it right. So the idea is that it's not doing a second echo. Some people prefer that. But I'm going to put it back in. There's also the prompt. Right now I have a particular prompt of RBM, so it's showing me what RBM I have. But there's other versions, like Classic, which shows me what line I'm on. So I'm on line 31, 32, 33, 34. Also, if I open up something and I need to finish, it's leaving a tick mark there saying, dude, you got to close your tick. Now, if I have double quotes, it says, well, you still have double quotes open. So it's kind of informing me. It's really long, so we'll get rid of that. I think there's a simple, which is much smaller, so you can read what I'm doing. Command K will bring you up to the top of your thing. If you're in a presentation, you want people to see what you're doing. And another thing that you can do is nested. So you can say conf dot auto indent mode. Currently set to false. If I set it to true, then I can do something like, if I was writing a method in here, as I do this, it will nest. So it makes it a little easier for me to figure out where I'm at, and then I need to close one. So that is that. Another thing you can do is call out to the system. So like, let's say you kind of forgot where you opened this thing up from and where you're at. Okay, so that doesn't look good, so let me try it again. By doing the ticks over the tilde next to the tilde, you can call out like that. Which also means that you can say, if you have particular configuration settings like the echo or whatever, I want to set that permanently. I don't want to keep typing that. So let me open my .irc file that I have. So I'm going to call it to mate irc, and I can open it up. So that way I can put methods in here that will be available to me. I had done one thing to I have an IRB-RC file in this particular project, but I also have a global one. So what I'm doing then is I'm saying, hey, regular.irb-rc, when you get into this folder, if you find another .irb-rc, go ahead and load it too. That way I can have per project customizations based on whatever gems and stuff that I have. So one of the additional things that I have, a lot of times when I'm using this, I'll be working on something, and I want to know, well, what's the right way to, if I'm testing a regular expression or if I'm testing some particular methods that I'm not that familiar with. And I might start making a method, whatever, and it does some stuff. And as I work on that, I can call it, I can do some stuff. Imagine it's doing some parsing. Then at some point I get sick. If I want to make a change to that, I have to rewrite it all. So there's one plugin that allows you to use BI, and you can, I'm sure why I open it up like that. Let's get out of that. You can write your method, I have that. Now if I want to change it as I'm working on something, as I'm learning, so for me this is a way to learn things you don't know that well. So you can make the changes to this. So there's a whole another set of things that you can do in the Ruby console. And the thing that, the Rails console, the thing that got me into this was that I have a project that uses Axis version, and it was really hard for me to follow what the changes were between separate versions. So I was like, well, and I was on production, so I had come up with a couple methods of ways that I could do it, but I wasn't going to just add that to the code base just yet because I was in the middle of investigating an issue. The other thing I needed to do was logging. So if I have like a user, and I have a tool called Herb, or a plugin for that will kind of lay out your information. Sometimes if you call something and you don't want to see it, you can put nil after it and you won't see all the junk. But I needed to do something where I needed to see what were the queries that happened. So I made a little method and I put it into my own major, over this here. I made two methods. One here to do comparison of the Axis version, and another one to do logging. So here if I say log it, and then it says, yeah, you already had it. I'm reloading, but that's okay, cool, whatever. Now if I say this, it will, at the top of that, it will show me the select statements. So those become available to you. But the main thing that I wanted to do for me personally, and you'll do your own thing for your project, is I want to inspect the versions. So I'm going to call the versions on that. I can see. No, that didn't work. All right, done. Fail. I'll put the slides up.
Okay, we have the next hour and a half.
Can you post a link
Okay.
to your
Yes,
I'll post
check because I need to be for longer than that.
Okay.
Thank you. We only have 4 copies.
I will post the slides and tweet it.
What's the board?
Yeah, I got. No, we got 8. Jim told me wrong.
Alright, the photo of the board, look at Twitter.
What?
The photo of the board.
I did too. So Jim was suggesting we vote on it to see what, to get the highest.
Okay, well,
Winner on the board was good.
I don't know. I didn't count.
So Jim was suggesting we go, after this, we'll go, we'll go through and I'll read off and we'll vote on it, see what the highest rated lightning talks are that you guys want to see, and we'll start doing those first. So,
Sweet. You good?
yeah.
Awesome. Hey everybody, I'm Steve, and this is a talk called Everything You Know About REST is Wrong. Back in Rails 1.2, we started all being into REST as a way of developing web apps, and unfortunately, the way that Rails has implemented REST is like nothing to do with what REST is actually about, and you've all been totally misled, and it's really important that we get it right in the future. So this is why you're wrong. So if you think REST has anything to do with pretty URLs, or routing, or HTTP methods, sort of, or JSON, then you're wrong, actually. And it's my job to inform you since you're on the internet, and I do this all the time. I stay up forever. So what REST is actually about, it's about 3 things. It's about resources and their representations, and then hypermedia as those representations of those resources. So let's talk about each of those 3 things. This is a little small, but a resource. This is straight from, I guess REST was originally defined by Roy Fielding in his PhD thesis. And so a resource is, from his thesis, any information that can be named can be a resource. So a document, an image, a temporal service, like today's weather in Los Angeles, a collection of other resources, a non-virtual object, like a person, and so on. Anything can be a resource as long as you can name it. So that's what actually builds up resources. It has nothing to do with models and what those models are called. You could have a resource that has absolutely nothing to do with the tables that are in your database. That's totally fine. So then we have representations of these resources, which are basically the presentation of those resources, the way that it's displayed. And then finally, hypermedia, which is the way that those representations should exist. Those representations should be hypermedia. A hypermedia document is one that has connections. It's non-linear, so it's connected to other documents in some fashion. That's what makes it hyper, I guess. So the biggest thing that people get wrong when they do RESTful web services is they forget about this constraint. So REST is about these things, but it's about applying constraints to your system such that you get certain properties out of that system. If you don't apply all the constraints, you don't get all the benefits that come with putting those constraints. One of the main constraints is this thing called HADIOS, which sounds like a breakfast cereal, but it actually stands for Hypermedia as the Engine of Application State. This sounds really complicated, but it's actually not. But it fundamentally changes the way that we write APIs. I also like to call it how I stopped worrying and learned to love the rel attribute of links. And you're like, rel? This is what I mean. Rails doesn't do REST justice. Rel is an attribute of links that describes the relation of the linked resource that you're linking to, so that it's able to be understood by machines. If we get our homepage of our API, then you can do all this stuff. So maybe we want to make a new blog post. So we have our link to posts new, right, because we're doing Rails stuff, and we have the human description to make a new post, but we need a machine-readable description. So that's what the rel attribute is saying. This is just like the rel's new post is an arbitrary tag that we've applied to this link, and so the machine can know any link that has this relation will give you a new post. That right there, the rel attribute. So what this lets us do is, later, it lets us change what our URLs are entirely. If I decide in version 2 of my API, or if I want to change it to be like /lol what the fuck, then it doesn't matter because the machine will be following the same rel attribute, and so you can change your server entirely, and it doesn't actually break your client. So we could be building APIs such that we'd be able to iterate on the server, and people wouldn't have to download the new versions of our gem. It would all just work transparently. And this can be done properly with some engineering and some stuff like that. I originally was going to have a demo, but I couldn't manage to get some code together because I decided to rewrite my shoes presentation at the last second. So I don't have a demo for you. But there's a video on Vimeo that demonstrates this really well that I can link to if you check out my book that's on Twitter. So I cover this and a bunch of other things. I'm in the middle of writing this book, and by middle I mean I'm starting, called Get Some Rest. In lean startup fashion, I wanted to see if anyone would care if I'm writing a book before I'm writing a book, and it turns out everybody cares, so it looks like I'm writing a book. So this is where you too can put in your email address to get notified on why you don't know anything about this topic, and I will explain how to practically use it in such a way to help write better APIs so that we can serve our customers better, and explain where following the standard is not always the best thing to do, but at least then you know why you're breaking the rules and what you gain and or lose by making these decisions. So I want to do a pragmatic approach to true rest and not just whatever Rails spits at you. So get some rest, and that's that. Thanks.
So we've got Life of a Ruby Freelancer by Evan Light. We've got RubyPair.com with looks like RubyGeek.com and Evan Light. We've got Hacking Education. We've got Revolution. We've got Appeal to Authority by Avdi. We've got None Such Greatest Thing Ever. We got Ruby, Rails, and Winning a Contest by Mark McSpadden. And How We Use Ruby A&D by Beachmar.
There's one more on there.
What?
GetFlats.
Sorry, yeah, and then we got GetFlats, Text Adventure with Telephony with that Matt. And then, yeah. So we're going to go down, just kind of, I guess, clap as you hear the name and then try and figure out who's the most popular.
How many have
Let's start raising hands.
No, raise hand, sorry.
Yes,
Let's go fast.
Yes. Go.
Anybody give me less than 3 minutes?
Well, we got 10, so if we knock it down to 5 minutes.
Sure.
Yeah. We'll do GetFlats. We can go in 5 minutes.
Gotta get eFlask. Let's do this. All right. Actually, this is an interactive talk, so if you will take out your phone, you can. God, I don't know if they'll support like 40 people calling at the same time, but if for those of you who want to multitask and like check stuff out while the projector is not detecting stuff, if you will please dial the number 412-228-4135. In the meantime, I'm going to see why this isn't working. And he just feels like 412. This is Pittsburgh, not Austin, the phone number.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Oh, come on.
Text port.
Oh, don't text that number for whatever you do. Do not text that. Anybody want to?
Oh.
Do you want to have someone else?
Can we? Yeah. Can. Like, seriously, what's up with this?
Try turning your resolution down. I can pick someone
This
else.
worked yesterday, but
Steve,
yeah, good.
Matt, you got this thing working? Or?
I can't get the projector to detect.
Some crazy ass noise. Okay.
All right, Area, go ahead and we'll figure this out. Yeah. Okay. To be continued, I guess. Apologies.
Weird sound you guys been making.
Yeah, some weird sound.
But it worked just yesterday.
Oh yeah, screen size again. Don't forget to change your display preferences to actually, I think you're correct. Okay.
For anybody that wants to present, make sure your display settings are ready.
Okay, sure. So, there we go. Okay, so I keep talking to people about freelancing. I'm a freelancer. Hi everyone, my name's Evan. I'm a freelancer. There we go. A bunch of people, when I tell them I'm a freelancer, they're like, "Oh, that's interesting. So how do you do that?" So I figured I would just give a really, really brief how-to. Or I guess I'll start with a why. So as a freelancer, one of the nice things is if you have a short attention span, then you can get a little bit more variety, get to switch work more often with a cleaner conscience than if you're an employee and you just say, well, I'm bored, I quit. You can pretty much work wherever you want to for the most part. At least it's a matter of picking your clients. A lot of clients want you in the office. I live in the middle of nowhere, as those of you who have talked to me know. So being able to work from anywhere can be nice, though. I've known lots of freelancers that basically work while they're sort of on vacation, which, while that might sound perverse, if your vacation now becomes 2 months in Mexico, that's kind of cool. You can pretty much work whenever you want to. I think Avdi's hiding in this room somewhere. There you are. Hi, Avdi. Yeah, he works really weird times of day, but that's one of the cool things you can do as a freelancer. He gets more time with his family. People who work weekends, work late nights, like Avdi does. And then the other cool thing is, from an ethical standpoint for me, I can't work 8 hours solid. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I think that's just complete bullshit. Excuse me. I should have had full bleep. Anyway, so as a freelancer, you only get paid for what you work. Imagine that. So, you work 5 hours, you bill for 5 hours, and, well, that seems kind of fair to me. And there's no arguing over benefits or bonuses or any of that shit. Oh, there's another nasty word. So some quick best practices, things that have worked kind of well for me. People have asked me, what have I done? And I'm not going to say that I'm some kind of paragon of freelancing. I've been doing it for a little more than 2 years, pretty successfully. Actually, Mr. Chad Fowler's in the back of the room. He wrote this book called The Passionate Programmer, where he talks about, among other things, marketing. It's really not an evil word, as long as you believe in what you're selling. And that is you. So if you believe in yourself, then you're offering yourself as a service. Don't offer anything which you can't do. Be honest about what you can and can't do. People like that. Imagine that. Your mission is really just to make your clients better. You're not there to show them how cool you are. You're not there to go build your own open source tool or to push your own agenda. You're there to make them better. If you like that notion, freelancing is really cool. If you have something that you really want to work on, well, do it in your spare time or don't be a freelancer. So to that extent, you're basically a kind of well-paid servant. But after fashion, we really all serve each other, so think about that. Really, the goal is make yourself superfluous. That's the best service you can do to one of your clients. They're probably going to be paying you more than they'd be paying any full-timer. So to me, I go in with the goal of trying to figure out how I can get out of them paying me. Well, that might sound crazy. The customers really appreciate it, and they keep having me back, or even when I think I've made myself superfluous, thank you, they don't let me go. So to that extent, teach them to fish. You're probably all familiar with the really simple story of the fellow who catches a fish for somewhere. You can feed someone, you can give someone a fish and feed them for a day, or you can teach them to fish and feed them for a lifetime. Last bit, I've been working with Nola, wave, come on Nola, there we go, on something called Ruby Pair, at Ruby Pair on Twitter. This is an open source app. The link is at the bottom, GitHub, Ruby Geek, Ruby Pair. And it's just going to be a really simple Rails app where people who are interested in pairing with one another, whether remote or locally, can sign up, express an interest, find other people, and hopefully schedule time slots to pair with people. I mentioned that right now I already do something like this, and I use Google Calendar appointments for it, 3 hours a week in the evenings, but this would provide a central place for everyone to do something like that. So do feel free to hit the GitHub link. We have a lot of really ugly, untested code in there that we've written in the past few hours because we were trying to come up with something that we could show you guys, and instead I ended up beating my head against Rails 3.1 and Compass for a bit. So that's it. Thank you. By the way, that's a bigger step than you think.
Okay, let's try this again. Yes? Oh, beautiful. Exactly when I see that beautiful blue screen of life. Okay, and cows, even better. We got cows. We got cows. Okay. And can I get an active keynote window? Yes. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. This is GetFlats, which is hacking phones to give or to make voice-activated text adventure games. How many people are fans of HomestarRunner.com? Going way back, yes, yes. How many of you guys played Thy Dungeon Man?
Yay.
Okay, how many people have ever played any text adventure game? Going way back. Yes, we're all geeks. We're all fans of this stuff. So I love this stuff. I love Thy Dungeon Man, Homestar Runner, all that. And I had an occasion to make things that work on telephony, like a telephony application. Again, you've tried the live demo. I heard a bunch of phones making really cool noises. You can call this number, or you can Skype that number, or you, if you have a SIP client, go ahead and plug that in. You know what to do. Well, you can do that now, or I'm just going to talk through that thing. I don't know if I have enough time to actually give the full demo. We'll maybe do that at the end since you guys got a sneak peek. So I wrote this using the Tropo API. Tropo and Twilio, both excellent telephony services. In this case, I just used Tropo because they had one feature I needed. Otherwise, I'm big fans of both, respect them both. The basic gist of them is that they are a web-oriented interface on top of a bedlam of stuff you do not want to touch if you're ever setting it up. It's like 10 times uglier than setting up your own email server, if you've ever done that kind of stuff. So believe me, it's awful. So the basic gist is that you have your application. It's making a REST call to their APIs, their machines. And that's going to ping a phone if you're making a call. You can initiate a call this way. So it'll call them, and whenever the phone returns, it goes through that server, and it's going to ping your Ruby script, your Sinatra application in this case, at a particular URL, usually a post request. Based on those parameters, you can send back JSON, or if you're with Twilio, they have an XML thing. Basically, it's just some instruction to go back to the Tropo Twilio server, and that in turn makes something happen on the phone end. In this case, say, we'll do text-to-speech, or you can also play MP3s, any number of things. So basically, this server in the middle is translating stuff that we can program that we're very comfortable with, which is markup and using HTTP, and it's translating into something we wouldn't otherwise have access to, phones. That's really cool. So that's making a call. Receiving a call is very similar. So just minus that one step of initiating the process instead. As you guys did whenever you dialed that number, it's instead pinging that URL, and now I'm just going to come back with a response, and it'll keep on going until either I hang up or you hang up. So cool. Tropo uses a JSON markup. That's one of their things. You can also have server-side scripts that run. In this case, we're using JSON, and it has a great API, things like say, ask, call, record, message, lots of cool, easy verbs like that. The one for ask has lots of choices and parameters. So that's what it looks like to work in this JSON format. What we're looking for is this on command, this on attribute. We can define it's event driven. So we say that on this event, somebody responds to the question they're asking. We can put them to the next URL. And we can say it's required, and then at that point we give them some feedback. The next kind of big thing that actually makes this work together, and the reason that I use Tropo in this case, is that they support something called Grammar XML, which is really old and terrifying to work with. As you'll see in this next slide, it's verbose and ugly, but it does something really cool. It defines, okay, voice recognition is a hard problem, right? If you've ever tried to use a built-in thing to type up your document, it's going to type out a lot of stuff that you're not actually saying. That's because it has the whole English language in its domain space. It doesn't know what you're going to say. If you use Grammar XML, you can actually define not only the words that people are saying, but the order in which they're saying it. So syntax and semantics. So here I'm just describing a very basic semantic pattern. That's text adventures lend themselves very easily to that. I have a predicate and an object. Get flask. Go north. Okay, yeah. So that's the basic rule. And then as far as the predicate, I can say, okay, we're only going to support these verbs, and we can have aliases too. So one of get, take, get ye, get yawn. Those all are get, and then those match up to certain verbs. It would be like flask, but in this case, these are the objects that we support for go. So go north, go south, go Dennis, go not Dennis. Cool. Code is up there at github.com/Matt with 3 T's, thy-dungeonman. Check it out. It's a little bit ugly, like I'm using herb to generate JSON, which is kind of weird. But yeah, go ahead and play around. Tropo, Twilio, both excellent APIs to work with, and I encourage you guys to do some more with telephony. It's really cool. So yeah, thanks.
Technical education, J3.
I don't know. I guess that's what they built in. They have a room that's like no north, south, or Dennis.
Big fan of anything that offers a formal grammar for GoDonos.
What's up? You're supposed to say what's up. Now you can with the program. All right, so I figured some of you already spent 45 minutes listening to me talk today, so what better than a few more? Nothing, that's what. Okay. Personal story. 2003, I graduated Arizona State University, computer science engineering. Going to college. And I joined Teach for America. Their website apparently does not scale very well to 800 by 600. But Teach for America is super awesome, super close to my heart still, so I started teaching middle school and high school. Did that for 6 years. Here's some of my babies who are now graduating college, because they're awesome. Okay. During that time, I earned about $38,000 a year, which a lot of us make in a couple months, or maybe 1 month if you're lucky. And that sucked. Living in DC is one of the most expensive cities on the earth. And especially around this time of year, I would spend probably on the order of like $1,000 trying to get things together for my classroom. Pencils, scissors, especially my classroom, I had to buy like computer parts and make computers work and things. And that sucked. And there's an organization called DonorsChoose. There we go. DonorsChoose is super awesome. I benefited from this. I wanted to teach Java. This was, kind of before I learned about Ruby. I wanted to teach Java. I wanted some textbooks, put it up on DonorsChoose, and thanks to family, friends, and random strangers, they bought me $2,000 in textbooks, which were rad, along with also Mindstorms, robots, and things like that. Totally changed my classroom. My wife was able to take her kids on field trips and things like that, which they never would have been able to do without DonorsChoose. So DonorsChoose, you make an account, you go, you can pick from all these proposals. Teachers, any teacher can go and just put up a proposal and say like, hey, I want to read Catcher in the Rye with my 6th graders. I need 30 copies, they cost $4 each. Can I have $300? And you can fund part of a project or a whole project. And then recently, they had an API contest in kind of the spirit of Apps for America and contests like that, if you've seen those, called Hacking Education. Chad and I were the judges for the Ruby, there was a whole Ruby division, and we were apparently very wise judges because the winner of the Ruby section also won the whole contest. And so he got to go on Colbert, who's on the board of DonorsChoose, had him on, gave him an award. He won all these prizes. Other people won prizes. There's a winner here today. And yeah, so that was pretty cool. It didn't get as much participation as I would have liked to have seen, or I think the contest wanted to see. So I feel like I didn't do a really great job on helping out that, but maybe next year, keep an eye out for that. But to celebrate that win, the domination of Ruby against other technologies such as JavaScript, Boo, Net, Boo, no, PHP, I'm just kidding, I like these technologies, but we're still better. At RailsConf, man, people's websites, they don't do well with this res. At RailsConf this year, friends of mine from EdgeCase and from 410 Labs joined me to teach a charity workshop. We did a one-day testing workshop, and we raised some money. And the result of that is this. I want to kind of throw down a little challenge to you. If you check out DonorsChoose and you think it sounds cool, and you donate some money to someone's classroom, and you send me a receipt, or you send me a tweet, and says like, hey, I donated $1 to this class, I will go to that project and I'll donate $25. If you donate more than $25, I'll donate however much you donated until I get to $5,000. Okay, so any companies want to join me in that? I wanted to put together like a website, application, all these things. I didn't do it yet. I'm sorry, I'm busy, but I'm hoping maybe in the next week or two I'll put it together. So, yeah, not a lot of rules. I'm not trying to like build up to 1 billion Twitter followers or anything. Just send me a message, send me a URL, say I donated $1 to this, and I'll send 25. Okay, thanks. Oh, I also have some glasses that I cannot take home. If you would like a Jumpstart Lab whiskey or water or soda glass or sticker, please grab me in the back. I got this heavy box.
They look like this.
And they look awesome. Me here in Austin, Texas.
Revolution, how Ruby and or Ruby on Rails might change politics in an unexpected way.
Go.
I have something likely to share with y'all. Through a completely unexpected turn of events, I came across this network and have this possibility to actually do something interesting. Revolution has happened through the ages, doing the Magna Carta is a good example. It gave a security clause to the people, or actually in that case, barons. They had the right of revolution. They could actually overrule the king through force if necessary. And that led to the United States. Okay, that's a nice revolution. Some people got killed, but we see that as a successful revolution. Now, there are other revolutions that were a little more bloody. The French Revolution was particularly gross if you lived in Paris especially. It just became such an unbearable situation that it was chaos, anarchy. But something good still came out of that. But I don't think that can happen nowadays, except we're seeing that happening with totalitarian regimes, but not in the United States. And that's what I kind of like. I just kind of woke up one day and all of a sudden, wow, that's gone. Eastern Europe is no longer a big threat. In fact, now they're cooperative and doing all kinds of things. Yes? Oh, I'm sorry. Revolution! Sorry. I get very passionate about this because I've been working on this most of my life, but so now I'm kind of excited that I can actually do something. We can do something. This is really interesting. I'll explain to you. I grew up in the 60s and 70s. I was too young to participate, not that old, but I just see changes. Civil rights, we ended a war. Nowadays we've got protests, but they don't do much. I mean, I protested against the war in Iraq and nothing happened. And the reason why is because they're not about people not having civil rights or people being drafted and sent off to be killed. It's more about global enterprise, disparity, inequities, things like that. And also, the authorities have figured out how to handle and manage the situation. And so, largely, protesters are now painted as weirdos or wackos or fringe. And this is the system we like. We like order. We don't want French Revolution. So, I also like very peaceful revolutions. Peace is nice. It shows that things can be done even though you're not hurting anybody. And they're usually spearheaded by figureheads, one person. It's easy to coalesce action through one person. So we've got revolution through software as well. Here's another revolution. We've got a disruptive technology. We've seen this happen over the last 10, 20 years. The print industry, recording industry, film and television industry, which I'm part of, I'm a filmmaker, and the software industry, even our industry, we've revolutionized it. We've taken on huge giants, but there's still money. I mean, things run on money, and money trumps everything. To quote John Lennon, money is more popular than Jesus. It trumps religion, it trumps everything. I mean, you can't get anything done without money, except when you have a lot of people. Okay, so from software, we've got a couple of more other industries that we can't really attack. Political industry, financial industry. Those are very, tightly coupled. And they involve a lot of competition, but also cooperation. I mean, competition is great for eliminating weak and identifying what's really a strong approach, but cooperation gets so much more done. And I'm a big fan of cooperation, even though I appreciate competition. So, these industries are only going to change from within. And the best way to change things from within is to co-opt it. We see this all the time on Star Trek. You become part of the board, and you find out what their weakness is, and you use that, you exploit that. Hackers do that all the time, and that's kind of what we do as well in our technology. So, okay. Now laying the groundwork, what I want to propose is American candidate. On television, we vote off the least likely presidential candidate each week until we're left with the one that's the strongest. Now, that can't happen because television, you still need a lot of money to get on it. So what we want to do is use the internet. Let me skip through. Crowdsourcing. We build a Reddit-like environment where we build trust and cooperation to build these political platforms to best rise to the top. And have to do that through money, getting the word out, and maintain the system, but we have to show what is possible, so we have to build a prototype. Fortunately, Ruby on Rails can do prototypes very quickly, without much fuss. The only way to make that work, though, get the word out, you still have to make it fun. You make it social, constructive, not destructive. And you make it inclusive. Everyone with any political bent is able to come in, contribute, participate, rise to the top, and the cream of the crop then gets put on television because we've shown that there is a viable candidate. And a group of candidates then go on television the political season before 2015, before the 2016 election. And there's lots of, I've got lots more details I can go into. If you want to join this Twitter channel, I'll send out more information and post where the slides are. But thanks for listening to me.
Next one is Avdi's appeal to authority.
Who's the next one after that?
After that will be none such greatest thing ever.
I'll do that. I'll do that one if there's time at the end.
Okay, that's yours as well.
Yes.
Okay.
It's good though.
Then the next one will be Mark's Ruby, Rails, and Winnie. And then after Mark, we'll have Beachmar with how we use Ruby at AMD.
So I got to thinking while I was watching James' keynote. I got to thinking about one of my favorite logical fallacies, which is the appeal to authority. You know, when you say, you know, this is so because so and so says so, and they're an expert. And I was thinking about the fact that you know, some people actually really know a lot of stuff. You know, there are some genuine experts out there, and so sometimes, you know, appealing to authority kind of makes some sense. Some people have been doing this for a long time, but then again, sometimes even the experts don't agree. I don't know if you remember, a while back, this guy said something along the lines of, "You're not a professional unless you're TDDing every line of your code," and this guy said, "BS." And you know, these guys are both giants in the field, but they were really disagreeing on this point. They actually had a debate about it, and I don't know if you've seen this, but it's really worth looking up and watching. It's really good stuff. But you know, here they were, and they both, you know, they had these different points of view. You know, so who's right? Well, maybe it depended on the context that they had been working in. Maybe Jim Copeland had been working on different types of projects in most of his career than the types of projects that Uncle Bob was working on. Every expert is a walking bag of anecdotal evidence based on what they have worked on and what they have experienced. One of the other things that caught me in James' keynote, he said, "We're working on huge projects now, you know, 40,000 lines of code." And I was thinking, one of the first Ruby programs that I got paid to work on already had 70,000 lines of code on it. And my experience has been, and that's actually not that big by industry standards. That's actually pretty small. But most of the projects that I've worked on have been I've been coming in after there's already a few tens of thousands of lines of code, after a couple of years, after maybe most of the people that originally wrote the code have left the project, and that's my experience. And a lot of stuff I write, and a lot of stuff I talk about is from that experience. But you know, Ruby is a really dynamic community. It's a community disproportionately of startups, and I think there are a lot of people in the community that haven't had that experience. I think there are a lot of people that are coming from the background of, you know, they've started a lot of projects and then moved on, and that's fine too. But they have a different context that they're working from. Now, some people will look at this, and they'll look at this fact, the fact that everybody's coming from a different context, and they'll use this to say, well, see, everything's contextual, and my project, my code base is special, and so that's why, what that guy says just doesn't apply. Trust me, your program is not special. So, somebody out there has done something very like what you're doing right now. What I want to encourage you to do is just to, when you're looking at the authorities out there, when you're looking at the experts, look at the context that they're coming from, find somebody that has worked on something similar to what you're doing, and appeal to that authority.
Okay. What did you do in your work?
He did.
I'm trying to set displays. I had to actually restart my computer. But there was networks.
All right. So I'm going to talk to you about contests and using Ruby on Rails to win things. I need to win a new laptop. I think I'm going for oldest MacBook here. Mike. Thank you. And so we're going to talk about Ruby Rails and winning Mark McSpadden on the GitHub and the Twitter. What have I been doing lately? Doing a lot of contest stuff. Google Code Jam, this is a really cool one that runs every year. Fluid Info, O'Reilly book. I did the Hacking Education Contest, the Evernote Developer Contest, and this one this weekend that they extended. We'll talk about it. And I've won some. Book Chirper was a winner. I won first prize. Really cool. Charity Chirper was the wild card winner. I don't really agree with the judging on the Ruby category.
Fight, annoyance.
Elephant Tracks won absolutely nothing. This one consolidates your geo check-ins into Evernote if you use lots of different services. It didn't win anything. But this is not about me, this is about you, and you can win these contests. I can't win them all, but we together can. And you can also get better as a side effect. Okay, why contests? I call this technical cross-training. You get to try out new APIs, new ways of doing things. Also product development cross-training, so you get to learn how to build products, what features matter to people, taking into account audience and things like that. They're a short time. You don't have to worry about, oh, what do I do? What's my business model? How does this application live forever? You don't have to worry about it. And you may get prizes. Where do I find these? This is what people ask me most. Programmable Web has a website /contests where they just list these things. Challenge.gov is the site that the government has. The government is running these contests. So you can go participate in these contests, use like data from like the Department of Labor, and they want you to do something cool with it. So you can like win prizes back that's actually your tax money, so you bought something for yourself. Also on the Twitter, follow people, but also you can do Twitter searches for this stuff, and you will find these things all over the place. Where do I find the time? A lot between 9 and midnight. I don't sleep, and I don't have many friends. Here are some of the contest examples. Basically, there's two types. One where you solve a problem, that's like Code Jam. I think Ruby was the 7th most used language this year in Code Jam, and the 3rd most successful. So if you're going to do Code Jam, don't screw it up. Get it right. These have some benefits, but they are also lots of hard problems. Build an apps contest. These really let you kind of just build something as you go along. I like these too because they have human judges. So like my Book Chirper app sat in front of Tim O'Reilly. How cool is that? That's pretty cool stuff. And I guess my DonorsChoose app was in front of some cool people too. Some ideas. Don't do your first idea for these contests. Don't do one that's mentioned as an example. I've seen this happen. Talk to people and consider the judges and their criteria. Random advice. Test the parts you want. Also know that you may
have to or get to tweaks of open source software, I used the Clout gem, and it didn't have the methods that I needed. So I got to contribute those back. The guy actually emailed me and said, hey, I'm not supporting this anymore. Do you want to support it? And I kind of said, maybe not. Deployment, Heroku, use Heroku. I actually had my wife scale my web app for the DonorsChoose contest. I was sitting in a mechanic when they tweeted out that I was one of the winners. I called her and I said, go to the machine, pull down the terminal, do this, Heroku space scale space web equal 20. And she scaled my web app for the day. It was awesome. Submit and then wait. Also, most of the time they'll delay submission. DonorsChoose is actually the only one that I've been in that didn't delay. That's because they have, the same way we have grand aspirations for our applications that go out, that tons of people are going to flood into them. They have the same for these contests. They want to get as many entries as possible. So you wait, and maybe you win. That didn't come up right, but I want a Zoom and a Nexus S, which if you want to trade for an iPad or a... be open for that. Sometimes you don't win, and that's sad, and you get a little bitter, but not too bitter, because you learn something along the way.
And then you can blame Jeff and Chad.
Exactly, you get to blame other titans of the community. Here are those websites again. I really encourage this. I think this is a fun way to learn and a fun way to participate. So thanks. And I will put these up on speaker deck.
Beach mark?
I don't have a slide deck.
So, Method Missing suggested that I talk about what I do at AMD with Ruby, because you wouldn't think that a chip manufacturing company like
Didn't want to be too loud. So, sensitive range. Are we there? Okay, so I work at AMD. We actually use Ruby for lots of different things. I got introduced to it in '93 when I read a C++ user journal article about unit testing C++ code using Swig and Ruby, and I had a need for acceptance testing my application. I feel like I'm cutting in and out. Come on.
No, it's good.
And I was working on a project that was a tool to stress a system. And I ended up writing the acceptance test for my QA guy as a kind of DSL language that you could use to test the system. That's how I got into Ruby, and I fell in love with it and started using it for everything. I actually haven't written a Rails app other than the tutorial. So it's kind of weird to hear all this Rails stuff. I'm sort of familiar with it, but can't not be if you hang out anywhere. Other apps that we've done with it, I took the experience of using that and used that to generate C++ header files from XML data files that we had that would break up the register definitions of a processor. So processors controlled by thousands of registers, and they each have like bits that mean certain things, and we need to turn them on and off in our testing. And well, this was all expressed as XML, and it was inconvenient for us to parse that XML runtime, so we did it at build time. We had a Ruby script that would generate these C++ scripts. That started to permeate our system. We had all sorts of Ruby scripts in our build system to pre-process information and generate stuff. And this is just stuff I know about. I actually know there's more. I also built a web-based application using Ramazay, because I'm just weird that way. And it's meant to, and I used XMPP for R, using Jabber, to control a bunch of test systems. And kind of, we're working with systems that go on and offline all the time, because we get first silicon, we're not sure if it really works. We have BIOSes that may not work. We have OSs that may not support our systems. Things get flaky all the time, so we wanted to have something that would just work across multiple operating systems. So Ruby was my choice for homogenizing that. And then tell us when they're online, run tests on them, stream the feedback back, and cache that and be able to mine it for trends and analysis. The other things that I've done is I write little tools. I have a tool that allows you to set the BIOS settings in your testing. It's internal only, but it was cool because I needed to run on Windows and Linux, and so Ruby is my choice there too. Have a little stub layer that's that accesses a driver, and that does all the real work. We also have some other guys from AMD here, and they work on a tool that analyzes the scan dumps. So when something goes wrong, we can actually read the machine state out of JTAG and basically get a dump of all the register bits. And that's like millions of bits to parse, and it's just a single bit string. And so somebody's written an app that will do that. I think he's experimenting with Redis right now. He's really brought our MySQL instance to its knees, doing all sorts of inserts. But that's a Rails app, so I don't know anything about it. And then what else? One more thing that I want to know. Okay. Oh, and I actually also know that our design team uses Ruby, but I'm not sure what for. I just know that they're using the singleton pattern. I don't think that's a great idea for them. Anyway, thanks for your time.
I think that is back to Ogden with the none such.
Really? Is there anybody else that?
I was about to say, if there's unless any.
Chad,
Oh. And then Ogden's the last one on the list, so if anybody else is going to think they might want to do one, we've got a little bit of time.
I have another one from another conference they did.
Go, Omni, go! It'll make you laugh.
It's another project.
All right. I want to introduce you to the greatest thing in the history of things. This is a talk about a new gem that I'm introducing, known as None Such. It is the greatest Ruby gem ever. I'm sure you're eager to hear about it, but first I'm going to go on and on about me and why I'm so great. And then we'll see if we can get to the gem. So there are some who have called me a rock star, others a super genius. But what, for a long time, I called myself a software craftsman. But then everybody else started calling themselves that, and it wasn't cool anymore. And so I finally realized that what I really am is a software innovator. Now, there aren't that many of us around, but if you're in this room, you are one too. I also enjoy beer, just like you do. And I'm a big fan of that show you love, and I'm going to be peppering this talk with references to it, so enjoy. All right, so I'm sure you're really eager to hear about what None Such is. None Such is a gem to make your life better with style. And it does it using RESTful NoSQL concurrency. Now, this is a brand new library. I created it just 2 weeks ago, and I want to get right into it. So let's dig in. And so for the next 40 minutes, I want to take you through the README, which you could read in 5 minutes. But this version is going to have funny cat pictures. Before we get started, how to install None Such. I'm going to just give you install instructions as if you have never used Ruby or even a computer before. Now you're probably wondering, there are some other tools that do the same thing that None Such does. Why did I create a new one? I'm glad you asked. There's a few reasons. Number one, None Such is a completely unnecessary DSL. It has an amazingly well-designed homepage. As a matter of fact, I spent more time designing the homepage than I spent writing None Such itself. And finally, I took a look at the implementation of some of those other tools, and they were bloated. I mean, they were like 100 lines of code long. None Such is sleek, it's stripped down, it's only 3 lines of code. So I'd like to demonstrate None Such to you with an ill-advised live coding exercise. I have to warn you, I haven't practiced this at all, and I actually just got this machine last night. Now, I'd like to tell you about really life uses of Nonesuch in production, but there actually aren't any. Like I said, it's a brand new library, and actually I haven't had a chance to use Nonesuch myself because I've been spending so much time writing blog articles about it. So I'd like to turn the question around and ask you, how would you use Nonesuch?
On everything.
To unit test vapor.js.
Bugs? I have no idea. I haven't used it. And I'm sure at this point you are wondering how can you help with this project. I'm so glad you asked. First of all, you can write all the documentation for me. Secondly, you can use it and find the bugs. And finally, I want you all to tell your friends about it, even if you don't use it yourself. And so, thank you very much.
Are we gonna have anybody else who's got anything?
Yeah, somebody else has bought this from me. Feel free.
Oh, we're all going twice now?
Yeah, everybody's. This is the Stephen Obsey dueling show. Dueling talks. It's true. Hi, everybody. You don't know me, but I'm Steve. And so this talk is interesting because I only have about half of those things from Nonesuch involved in our status, and it's only half re-implementing someone else's project, and I call them a dick, unlike what I said this morning. So, so this is our status by me. So if you remember a while back, Twitter changed their terms of service so that they said there was going to be no more Twitter clients. We're sick of Twitter clients. We're going to try to make some money. We want to shove ads into your stream so that you look at them, and we can't do that if you're using someone else's client to read Twitter. So let's make that bad. And if you look at the actual diff of their terms of service change, I think that the first sentence made it right. And I think this is, yeah, it said it used to say we want to help other businesses build businesses on Twitter, and then it said we want to help people build tools on Twitter. So so they sort of changed their promise to developers that they would help an ecosystem, and they've sort of shifted to like money, 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 money. So I'm the kind of person that likes to blow things up with flowers, of course, and so I decided to make our status. So what is it? It's a distributed, federated, open source microblogging with synergy and XML, but not those last two things, because those things are bad. But it's the rest of those things. What this means is basically, after Twitter did this, a bunch of Rubyists all tried Identica, and then we all vomited. So we decided instead to build. But the nice thing about Identica is that they actually have a standard for microblogging that you can interpolate with. So instead of having to hack on PHP all day, and this joke doesn't work as well as when I was at CodeConf, I said I didn't wear tight black pants all day just to code in PHP, so I had to rewrite it in Ruby. And but this has a standard that we can all play nicely with. So actually, we're re-implementing the standard that Identica uses in our status. So I forget why I put the slide in here, but everybody loves kittens. I think it was saying that basically, like, we want to play together, right? So, like, I can talk trash on Identica if I want to, but it's better that we can interpolate with them, because that's, like, the idea, right? Everybody gets to use the software they want to use. And so that standard is called OStatus. So it's based on Google's PubSub-Hubbub protocol. I meant that too far. PubSub-Hubbub. So this is a, like, publish, subscribe, PubSub-Hubbub. Based on XML. Basically, the idea is that you push to a hub, and the hub pushes to clients for you, because polling sucks. Imagine like you're on Twitter and you have 1 million followers, of course. So pushing sucks because you'd have to push to 1 million people, and polling sucks because 1 million people would be hitting you all the time. So if you want to build a distributed system, you have these hubs, which are big crazy servers that Google pays for, so you don't have to worry about it. And those are the things that are getting pulled. So you push to the hub pushes for you. That's the idea of PubSub-Hubbub. So OStatus is a standard built on top of that protocol that lets you do microblogging, basically, or just message passing in general. So this is what our status looks like. And it's the same basic general idea as Twitter. You have tweets, but they're updates, because tweets is, whatever, copyrighted. And we had a pretty good reception to launching this. All these stats are really old because I didn't update this slide, but basically in the first week, we had 125,000 page views get served. We had over 5,000 users sign up, and they posted almost 13,000 updates, and we had 30 people contribute to our status in the first week, which was awesome. I actually was at a non-technical conference at the time, and I was tethered to my phone because I had terrible Wi-Fi because humanities people don't care about the internet. And I was pushing the website over my phone because I was trying to launch features to keep up with everything. So it was crazy, but we had 200 pull requests in the first week. I would like to tell you that people have contributed this much since then in the last couple of months, but it's died down a little bit. So we've had even more committers since then. But the basic message of our status is you can run your own node, own your own data, start your own software homestead, and overthrow our evil capitalist oppressors. So that's what you can do. You can run your own node, and since everything is distributed, you don't have to actually sign up for my website. You can run your own, and then you can talk to people on Identica and talk to people on our status. Basically, everybody but Twitter is playing over here, and Twitter's playing over there. And they may have more people, but we have cooler people, hopefully. But it's really sweet to follow someone on a different website, watch their updates appear in your timeline, and when you click on their permalink, you go to Identica. It's really awesome. So what's it built with? Ruby, of course. It is technically built with Sinatra right now, but I'm in the middle of porting it to Rails 3.1 because it grew too large. And we're using MongoDB, Minitest, Capybara, CoffeeScript, and Sass because we need as many cool points as possible on this project, since that's what it's basically predicated upon. So no nonsuch. Unfortunately, I'm too cool for nonsuch. So here's a big giant Ruby because you all love that, and you can check it out at this GitHub address if you're interested, or rstat.us because .coms are lame. Thank you.
I think that was everybody on. That's everybody on the list. Is there anybody else who wants to have 5 minutes?
Do it, all of you. Good time.
Or 10. You must be.
Yeah.
I don't have any slides or anything. Just go through that. Yeah.
This is kind of embarrassing. Abby, thanks. You reminded me, I missed my last point in my slides, is call to action. You can join the @mcandy. I'd love to get feedback on what you think about revolutionizing the political system here in the United States. Because I'm sure I'm wacko, but I'd like to be corrected. Thanks. Also, I'll need help building this.
Let's see if I can get this thing out.
All right, so I'm sharing this because this is something I've been working on for several months, and I saw some ideas written down by like Ruby pairing. It seemed like I read the GitHub, and I was like, this is a lot of what is common with the site I've been building. I'm going to do this full time after my last week with my current employer, and then I'm going to be doing this full time. The general idea is that we have all these different profiles as developers, and it's kind of funny as I see every single time we go to presenting at the end, the presenter's like, and you can find me here, and here's all these links, and here's all this stuff. So CodeMap is about syncing all those developer profiles into one location, and so that you can just say, here's my code, my profile, or here's this where I have my talk, and all those different resources are in one area. I kind of view it like a LinkedIn for developers. LinkedIn is great for business professionals because all you really care about is your network, and you can put in some keywords in your resume. But as developers, I can say I do Ruby, and I can say I do .NET, but do I really know what I'm talking about? Here, you can associate your GitHub repos, and then right now I have points and then tagging and so forth, with the idea being that I would like to be able to answer questions like, well, who's the best at Ruby in Austin, and who, is the best person for, let's say, Sinatra in California, and those type of questions we answer when we start having these tagging endpoints. It's still very early because the developers involved is me. I would like if people would create accounts and let me know what type of features they like, what they don't like. I guess that's what I'm leading to. I sync up with Stack Overflow, GitHub, Bitbucket, CoderWall. I also have it where reading RSS feeds from blogs, speaking, connect with SlideShare, SpeakerRate. I don't see if there's anything else, but I think that's it. And so that's the general idea. I guess it is written in Rails. It's hosted by Heroku. You know, the other technology we use is MongoDB. And yeah, I guess that's it.